Hey guys, it's Mai. So I just saw this and I wanted to share it with you guys. So there are 26 people in different tech companies and finance that wrote a letter to the US government saying how they thought crypto was a threat. And I find it to be very, very interesting that this letter was sent out during, everything that's happening in the financial market, Terra Luna, the Bitcoin, the mining in New York situation. So I think it's very, very interesting that this was recently released and sent and who it came from because some of these people are partnering with crypto. So, and this leads me to the theory that everyone wants the tech. They want the tech, but they don't want to see it grow. And I'll, at the end of reading this letter, I'll dive deep into that because I came to a conclusion a few days ago how blockchain is disruptive to the music industry. It's disruptive to apps, like on the App Store, Google Store. It's disruptive to literally anything where they have a subscription-based model, because hypothetically, because they are decentralized apps, that there's not always a profit with these dApps. It's more of a correlation to profit within use. But sometimes some developers just make apps to make apps. So, I think with that being in mind, like I came across Audius the other day. Audius is a free app. Anyone can upload their music. Now, when you talk about free to companies like Apple, Spotify, free, like, so that's all I'm going to say about that. And I'll come back to that at the end. I'm just going to quickly read it. So the letter is titled Letter in Support of Responsible Fintech Policy. I'm going to scroll. People who it was meant to go to. Dear U.S. Congressional Leadership Committee chairs and ranking members, we are 26 computer scientists, software engineers, and technologists who have spent decades working in this field producing innovative and effective product for a variety of applications in the fields of database technology, open source software, cryptography, and financial tech applications. Today we write you to urge you to take a critical and skeptical approach towards industry claims that crypto assets, sometimes called cryptocurrencies, crypto tokens, and Web3, are innovative technology is unreservedly good. We urge you to resist pressure from digital asset industry financiers, lobbyists, boosters to create a regulatory safe haven for these risk flaws and unproven digital financial instruments, and to instead take an approach that protects the public interest and ensures technology is deployed in a genuine service to the needs of ordinary citizens. We strongly disagree with the narrative peddled by those with a financial stake in the crypto asset industry that these technologies represent a positive financial innovations and are in any way suited to solving financial problems facing ordinary Americans. There are 1 billion Americans without a bank account, so clearly there are financial problems within our current US sector. I'm just going to say that. Not all innovation is an unqualified good. Not everything that we build should be built. The historical technology is full of dead ends, false starts, and wrong turns. Append-only digital ledgers are not new innovation. They have been known and used since 1980 for rather limited functions. Yes, and we're growing from the 1980s. I don't know the point of bringing the start of like the internet up was relevant, but as software engineers, technologists with deep expertise in our field, we dispute the claim made in recent years about the novelty and potential of blockchain technology. Blockchain technology cannot and will not have transactional reversal mechanisms because they are anti-ethical to its base design. Similarly, most private blockchain financial products are disaster financial privacy. The exception are a handful of emerging privacy-focused blockchain financial alternatives that are gifts to money launderers. Financial technologies served the public must always have a mechanism for fraud mitigation that allows humans in the loop to reverse transactions. Okay, let me tell you where you're wrong. 2 examples. So this commonly happens to me. I do a lot of DeFi and research. I also have like multiple apps because I'm obsessed with my credit, right? Like I want to build my credit. my email address, my personal one, has been purchased on the black web and leaked from some website that I was using, like I think Credit Karma or something like that, a multitude of times. Your data isn't safe with these fintech companies. And when there's a leak, all you do is get an email about a potential lawsuit, but no one does anything to potentially protect your data. Do you know why? Because they don't have mechanisms in place on these apps that secure your data. This is why we would like to move to a decentralized organization to protect my name, to protect my email, to protect my phone number. Also, we have a system where in fintech with these apps, because they're not safe, we have this whole robocalling thing. And any of you that have a phone, you know, you get these random calls and it's done all by the same scam group people, technology, phishing, I don't know what we call it, but this is because fintech is incapable of protecting our data. And when there's a data leak, they do nothing, which leads us to scam, our credit scores being ruined, people opening cards in our name. And at this point, you know, TransUnion, like all the credit bureaus have been hacked. Socials aren't even safe at this point. So to say that we must always have a human in the loop, no, that's not always true. You need to set checks and balances that do it because it's like Apple. Apple does this thing. If you've ever lost your password with Apple and have account recovery, they have an automated system with a human in the loop, but a mostly automated system with no interaction that you can see on its front change. So again, so these statements are not true. And then the whole will not have transaction reversal mechanisms. So essentially, if you have a MetaMask wallet, when you're using your MetaMask, you confirm each transaction on the blockchain before it is complete. So it's like, I'm going to confirm that I'm sending this to Polygon blockchain, confirm that I'm moving my ETH to Optimism or layer two. There's confirmations as you go, and I have to log in. I have to log in first. So, do you understand? So, there's a system. Yes, I understand that there is not transaction reversal, but in some cases, like let's say your money is accidentally sent to a smart contract during a minute, something goes wrong, they can resend it to the wallet. So maybe, yes, they're right. The tech maybe isn't perfect for resending transaction reversal. However, people have figured out how to code smart contracts with failed transactions to return it to the original wallet it was sent to. So that's not even true. So again, when these people say these things, they're very smart. They know what to say to the general public that is not invested in crypto, that has never, purchased something with their MetaMask or confirmed something on a blockchain. So they're gonna say anything they can, but I'm explaining to you guys because I need you to understand, like, this isn't true. And fintech is very, very worried that the fintech is going to be because, they cost too much to function. They're parasitic to users. You need to pay a membership, to pay a fee. It's a parasitic, and they need these dApps don't need people to participate. They would love for you to participate to grow the ecosystem, but it's not need. For example, the Ethereum Foundation gives grants to developers. Every cryptocurrency blockchain literally has developing projects. So people, it's crazy. So people who are talented and can code and like build, all they do is like, okay, they learn a language and then they create, adapt or try to create a blockchain, and it's just so amazing that like people are literally being told, well, if your project seems worthy, we will fund it. And coming from Apple and Google and these large corporations that make decisions from a board, and it's not organic, it's done in a plan, it has all, that whole mindset shift for them is disruptive because you have developers from all around the world approaching blockchains for development grants. And that is also upsetting because that's disrupting VC funding, which is really interesting. I would love to talk about that in another video. So all I hear is that I I'm not happy. I may not make money with this going on, and I want to be a part of it, but they can't, so they rather do things like this and be disruptive and say things that take away from the real issue at hand. By its very design, blockchain technology, specifically so-called public blockchain, are poorly suited just about every purpose currently touted as a present or potential source of public benefit. From this exception, the technology has been a solution in search of a problem and has now latched onto concepts such as financial inclusion and data transparency to justify its existence, despite a far better solution already in use. After more than 13 years in development, it has severe limitation design flaw that precludes all applications that deal with public consumer data, regulated financial transactions, and are not improvement on you guys, and are not improvement on non-existing blockchain solutions. Example number 45. So the issue with current traditional finance is that when someone in power, such as a representative or leader, sells a lot of shares, we can, people who are smart traders will go, look, we can find it. But, they have methods. Everything done on a blockchain is public knowledge. If I can identify the wallet, I can identify the movement. It's more transparent. Why wouldn't you want that type of transparency? That's the problem. Blockchain disrupts whatever people do in traditional finance that may or may not be okay. It's like, when, sorry to use his name, Elon Musk or the CEO of Coinbase offloads 600,000 shares, you don't really hear about it. It's done privately. If he were to do that from his wallet, you would see the transaction on a blockchain. They can't hide that stuff. And that's why we're having these comments. Public or custom, my data feels safer in a MetaMask. Obviously, I'm not going to click random links, but I feel safer. I've had a lot of things happen and it wasn't my fault. It's just their data breaches that these fintech companies literally don't do anything to protect. I mean, they try their best, but let's be real. Because it is centralized, it is more prone to attack. Finally, blockchain technology facilitates few and real economic use. I can give you four. So you can use blockchain to encode health documents. Like for me, this is a personal story, but I go to Kaiser and I have to go to Kaiser in a different area. Kaiser doesn't have a system where they can view their files from one state to another. So a doctor essentially wrote some medication for me and wrote it wrong 3 times. You know why? Because the doctor was unable to see whatever I was previously being given in a different area because they don't have an interoperable medical system that's transferable and viewable across all of the hospitals. So it can help healthcare because it can encrypt my data. I could approve the viewing and view it in that time setting or approve the viewing during my setting with my doctor. Thus, they can have all the medical history that may or not be apparent because they're within different physical locations. Because I know we don't say this, a lot of businesses struggle with transferring data within one another in a safe way because it's like you can't email documents from one version of your office to the other. That's not safe. So you should have a database or a blockchain in which you can view certain data safely and securely. It could also help in the case of close to 1 billion people in the US that don't have bank accounts, which is ridiculous because can afford to, legal status, whatever the case may be. They can have a wallet. They can at least have access to digital funds. They can convert it to fiat. That's just a quick solution since we don't seem to have very many. Even there's various use cases for blockchain technology outside of cryptocurrency, but even just blockchain technology, it could literally, even with the housing market and how we do, how we pass on assets, how we verify items. What if, how StockX sells shoes? What if you had an NFT and then you can look up the reality that it was a real item on the blockchain instead of just getting something and not even knowing it's fake and having no really way to validate it because again, people make fake Louis, make fake items all the time. But if you had an actual item or something on the blockchain to show authenticity, um, that could change the game for resellers. It would cap people reselling fake things and making mimic items and putting them on the market. That would be destroyed. It would increase your profit margin because you don't have a bunch of fakes floating around and angry customers. So many use cases. Like, this is hater energy. Few, if any, real economy use cases. There are a lot of use cases. You guys just can't profit from them. So, on the other hand, the underlying crypto asset has been a vehicle for unsound and highly volatile speculative investment schemes that have been actively promoted in retail investors who may be unable to understand any risk. Other significant externalities include threat, national security through money laundering, and ransomware attack, financial stability from high profile volatility, speculation, susceptibility to run risks, massive climate emission for proof of work technology utilized by some of the widely traded crypto assets, investors from large scale scam. Okay. I read through that quickly because it was all lies, the lots. Okay, so let's break this down really quick. They have been a vehicle for unsound and highly volatile speculative scam. If you guys purchase items that you have not researched and you don't understand the tech, whose fault is that? If someone said, hey, I don't know how this performs, but eventually you'll make money, you want to buy it? You go, yeah. Whose fault is that? You guys shouldn't be, purchasing things that you really don't know. And then again, as I've just explained, anyone can grab a developer, propose a project, and build it, right? But when they do that, you need to look at the three things: the white paper, the development team, the tokenomics. If none of those make sense to you, or if it seems as if those things can go awry, there's no need for you to invest in the project. Not long term, short term, I don't know, but like there's really no need because those should be the indication that they are volatile. There's also a group of people that do invest in, excuse my French, shit coins for a living because they know that they are highly volatile. If I dump X amount into X and it goes up 100% and I take it out, I can yield some of those gains, right? Those are different. Those are people intentionally engaging in bad projects because of volatility. I don't think anyone's responsible for that. If you're an adult, you know, that's an entirely separate matter. And again, we're all adults. No one needs to hold your hand through investing. If you're old enough to get a bank account to move money around, that's on you. Not to be rude. Invest in research your projects. Take a few seconds to see, do I grasp this? Do I understand this? Is this really something I want to be involved in? They're being actively promoted to retail investors. Now, that's not that, yes and no. So what some companies do is they'll find the hottest influencer to speak on a project. What real blockchain foundations or companies do, they let the product speak for themselves. Example: Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum. There's no announcements. There's probably announcements on the tech, but you don't see them using influencers to get on YouTube and tell you to buy the next meme coin or go into this NFT marketplace or do this or buy that or buy this coin. You don't hear a word because they're literally building technology that has been so amazing and shifting that the technology speaks for itself. You'll hear about it from other users that were like, oh, I was on this app, I did this, it was really fun. And they'll talk about their experience. That is how you hear about those products. It's not from influencers. You're not being encouraged to buy it. It's, I want to use this app on this blockchain. This is how the usability for me. Those are two wildly different statements to describe how you did something. National security listed money laundering and ransomware. So there's, as you know, people buy in the US, people launder money in various ways. What do? They buy laundry washing places. They just, people, if you know, you know. So you don't have to, and honestly, laundering money to cryptocurrency is kind of difficult to think about it because it's everything is KYC now. It's not just as easy as you think. It's just not. And again, everything is traceable on a blockchain if you really wanted to sit there and take the time to track a wallet with a certain specific amount of money that you think was coming from one person. You can do that. It's public data. It's on it's you can read the chain address. So, those statements are weird. I can't see, the federal budget before the money's sent out. I mean, as much as we use the word launder, we should be careful with that because, look at everyone through the PPA scams, all these companies that got them. And you know why? It's because it had to be paid out to payroll. That's not safe. That's a financial scheme. Like, yeah, anyway. Okay, so national threats to security. Again, most of these blockchains are very secure. There's only been some incidents where like some hacker like really smart and like figured out like how to enter a bridge and take out liquidity. Totally different scenario. Um, national security. Ransomware attacks exist in emails. You can get ransomware via your email. You can get ransomware via Instagram or Twitter. So again, these things that are commonly happen in apps that exist now. So to say it's happening from crypto, that's not true. Scammers use links and third-party apps that are used in cryptocurrency, such as Discord and Twitter. Common sense is don't touch it. Do not touch links. Don't touch links unless it's, but they wouldn't communicate. If you're in like an NFT group, they normally have a linked channel and they'll just post like, this is what you meant. But like you won't get a message saying meant here because that's kind of suspicious. I don't know how it's not obvious. Price volatility, everything's volatile. Have you seen gas? California is like $9 right now. Um, climate emissions. So, and I'm gonna do a full video on this because this upset me. So when we talk about climate emissions, let me just say something for one. America really hasn't been worried about climate change, or last president denied that it was happening, right? The last one. So it's odd to me that suddenly you guys are so concerned about Bitcoin mining and emissions when you have businesses that operate 24 hours that do not have solar panels that are wasting away energy. Do you go into each business and calculate how much climate emission is being produced from each one? No. So you picked a specific thing as a means to regulate it and talk about this energy. In California, they're proposing a bill that every car has to be electric. How do you think they're going to facilitate that? If you don't know, California has like a lot of blackouts, right? So how will everyone be able to drive an electric car in a city that's already having blackouts during the summer? Please explain to me. So it's like, I understand your fears, but they're not real. Because when we talk about massive climate emissions, let's watch it from a scale of what contributes to massive climate emissions the most. And also, just so you know, if you're a miner, you obviously don't want to pay more electricity, right? Because the more electricity you pay, the more your profit goes down, right? So most miners have switched to solar powered mining or found the most reduced way to produce less energy. But again, it's like if someone's paying for their energy source, who are you to tell them that they're not allowed to use it for that? If that makes any sense. So, um, and this, I think the scams are adjacent to crypto. It's just the fact that, people will create things and people won't do their research and people will stay into projects just for the hype and the volatility. And, that's unrelated to crypto. That is, and it's like you guys need to just be more aware because people are not aware, people are formulating essays saying that you guys are incapable of making well thought financial decisions. We implore you to take a truly responsible approach to technological innovation and ensure that the individuals in the US are not left vulnerable to predatory finance, fraud, and systematic economic risk in the name of technological potential which does not exist. I can tell you where I've seen these things before, and it wasn't just in crypto. The catastrophe and externalities related to the blockchain technology and crypto assets investments are neither isolated nor growing pains with the nascent technology. They are an inevitable outcome of technology that is not built for purpose, that will remain forever unsuitable as a foundation for a large-scale economic activity. Given the vast externalities together with at best still ambiguous and worse non-existent uses of blockchain, we recommend that the community look beyond the hype and bluster of the crypto industry and understand that not only its inherent flaws and extraordinary deflects, also the lineage of technology policies it's built upon. We need to act now to protect investors in a global financial market from severe risks posed by crypto assets, not to be distracted by tech obfuscations, which mask an abject lack of technological utility. We thank you for your leadership on financial technology and regulation and urge you to consider our objective and independent expert judgment to guide your legislative priorities. Signature. Oh, honey, I'm feeling petty today, so we're going to Google all these names. Okie dokie, let's find the first one. So, before I drag everyone, um, so from a technological response, this is inappropriate. If the top developers came in at new technology like this, it's like Dell writing a letter to the government about Apple. You know, it's rude. It's rude, and you should be supportive. And so a lot of banks are partnering with, they want blockchain technology for processing. I think they understand that, and that's why they're saying blockchain technology. Like, I can understand them just making this about cryptocurrency, right? Like, how, utilizing all the issues that have happened, but you're talking about blockchain technology specifically. Keep mentioning it because the technology threatens so many companies. It, it basically reduces their need for a subscription model for so many apps, for so many companies. And instead of supporting them, partnering with them, thinking how to integrate, they do things like this, which gives me huge distrust. Huge distrust because to me, crypto from a developatory aspect is providing so many opportunities for some bright, beautiful, intelligent people. And I love to see that continue because they can literally create systems that like change the way we like do our taxes or like, you know what I mean? Like, or honestly, my biggest hope for crypto is to have my identity protected. Those emails saying that like my email has been stolen, that scares me, and I'm so sick of seeing it. You know why? When you when you sign up for something, you keep providing the same full assets for things like your address. Why do you have to do that from there? If you were doing it from one wallet and you're simply logging in, your identity was held within the wallet. Your personal information wouldn't have to be left on the financial app that you're using. Does that make any sense? Like the reason why this happens is because we have to keep leaving all of our information within these platforms and they hold on to our data instead of holding on to an address that holds our data that they reference when we're using the app. If that makes any sense. Technology infrastructure. Hmm. Interesting. And mobile, which means he probably has an app. Great. Canadian software developer. Co-authors of Excel ML specification work for Amazon Web Services. Quit doing tutorials to determine whistleblowers. Okay. Okay. Greedy brooch. Another software engineer. Interesting. Interesting. Again, I'm just going to repeat what I said. Emerging tech is coming out and they don't like it. And instead of encouraging, working together, shifting in a new era. They want to be haters. It's giving jealous. It's giving jealous. Arthur on GQ. Yeah, I don't know. I've never. There is just a lot of hateration in the dancery. It's giving me like I write software, but I was like fired from a multitude of companies, and now people are getting like grants and 100K to create new blockchain or, taps. And I wasn't able to do that in my day. Like that's what it's giving, and it's so exhausting. A British journalist. It's frustrating to me because none of these people are saying I currently work today in cryptocurrency, and that's the thing about it. Like if any of them would say, if any of them would say like, hey, I currently am working in blockchain technology and this is how I feel about it, I would feel differently. But none of these people hold current positions in any, as a blockchain developer. They're not on like a panel or a group with a cryptocurrency country. I mean, sorry, company. So it's like, how are you gonna hate outside the club when you can't even get in? Like, none of them, and it's just like, really insane to me. I'm gonna do a follow up because I think said something about it too. Huh. And then in 2021, see, today we're gonna talk about how Bitcoin will place dollars into. See, it's that energy. It's like, what is making you guys laugh like this? It's just strange. It's just really weird. I can. You guys can keep going through this. I'll leave the link to it, but it's really disheartening to see people be so negative in a space that's really uplifting. And I'm gonna say this too: cryptocurrency is very important for people of color because often we're put into communities where we don't have assets or wallets, and I think it's easier to financially, not talking about like volatile coins, but like previously stable coins, actual stable coins. Like it's easier for them to create wallets and it's an opportunity for them to learn about technology, and just traditionally create a different economic module or a different, or even in the case of sending money to your aunt that lives in like Trinidad or like Jamaica. Like if I don't know if you guys have used MoneyGram before, but it costs money to wire money, not through a traditional bank. And people for years have been paying by wire. $400 have to pay $100 for. Why do you have to pay money to wire money? It's weird, So it's like I'm always gonna encourage Bitcoin because they figured out how to transport money in a cost-effective manner, and that's something people haven't been able to officially do for over 40 years. So I really don't care because you guys have solved one fundamental problem, which is the movement of assets to places where it's very expensive to receive them. And if that's all crypto were to do, I'd still be happy. But it does more than that. So this whole letter was very nasty, very negative, and I hope they find inner peace after their rude awakening when all these companies begin to utilize this technology. I think JP Morgan is currently using blockchain technology. Like, Fintech, honey, you weren't doing that well anyway, you know? So I'm gonna leave it that at that. Hey, thank you guys. Have a good night or day, group, whenever you're watching this. Okay, bye. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks, guys. Bye.